Should the sport of boxing be outlawed? Boxing is a sport, but it's a sport like any other. There are two participants in a ring, and they're only allowed to hit each other above the waist. Anything below the waist is considered a foul, and a point is taken away from their total score. So they're allowed to hit above the waist, the sternum, the chest, the head, the arms, the rest of the body, but nothing below the waist. They wear padded gloves now. Back in the past, they used to wear basically thin leather gloves, and they were essentially wearing nothing at all. It used to be like they had bare knuckles, they had bare fists. So these padded gloves have come a long way, and they've helped reduce the number of concussions in boxing overall. A professional boxing match is watched by millions of people all over the world. It's so popular that it's an Olympic event now. It's been an Olympic event for several decades. The Olympic event consists of amateur boxers who are allowed to wear headgear, which is padded as well, so that helps to alleviate any kind of concussions. Professional boxers do not wear headgear, so that's one difference there. Boxing is a sport I've been watching since I was a child. My dad, my uncles, grandfather used to get together every Sunday and watch the wide world of sports, and it used to consist of several boxing matches. I was always part of the group, so I grew up pretty much watching what they watched. My dad took me to several Golden Gloves events at Madison Square Garden in New York City. The Golden Gloves were basically boxing matches of amateurs. They were up and coming. A lot of them did become professionals, but at the time that we watched them, they were amateurs. So we used to get to watch quite a few fights in a night, and we did that pretty much on a weekly basis for some time. The question of whether the sport of boxing should be outlawed has been raised by many. It is a dangerous sport, but the amount of serious injuries that boxers sustain is very small compared to the number of boxing matches that are actually taking place on a daily basis throughout the world. Steps have been taken over the years, and rules have been changed in an attempt to make the sport safer for the boxers. The number of rounds in a prize fight used to be 15 rounds, 15 3-minute rounds I should say. That has been reduced to 12, so it's gone from 15 3-minute rounds to 12 3-minute rounds, with a minute break in between each round. There was a boxer named Benny Parrott, and a writer named Norman Cousins wrote an article on who killed Benny Parrott. He was a 25-year-old boxer who died in the ring. He died in the 15th round, supposedly, after sustaining 18 direct punches without the referee stopping the fight. Back then, had it only been 12 rounds, it would never have gotten to that point. So they determined that 15 rounds was too many, and boxers were too tired to defend themselves at that point. So they've since lowered the rounds down to 12, and it seems to have alleviated a lot of excess damage to some of the boxers, because most of the damage they sustained usually is in later rounds when they can't defend themselves. There's been what's called a standing 8 count implemented in boxing. This gives the referee free rein to stop the fight, basically give the boxer 8 seconds to determine whether or not he's able to continue fighting. He gives them several tests, and whether or not the boxer passed the test or not is determined by the referee in general. If necessary, he does have a doctor at ringside that is able to call upon for a second opinion. But the 8-second count at least gives the referee the chance to stop the fight temporarily to save the boxer from himself in case he wants to continue and he really shouldn't. If the boxer doesn't pass the test in the opinion of the referee, the fight is basically over and a technical knockout victory is awarded to the other boxer. Referees go through rigorous training now. They have medical training, They have physical training. They're very physically fit themselves. They dance around the ring. They're 5 feet from these boxers, and they are the closest ones to them. So they basically know when the boxers are in trouble and have, like I said, free reign to step in at any time they feel the ability to continue or discontinue a fight and continue going on. The ring has been reduced in size, and the equipment the boxers use, especially the gloves, have been designed for maximum safety nowadays. There's plenty of padding on these gloves, and the boxers are probably the most conditioned of all athletes nowadays. According to Patrick Connor, who wrote The Death in the Ring, boxing is a dangerous sport, but it doesn't stop these athletes from taking part in it. And it doesn't stop fans from all over the world from watching these fights take place. Norman Mailer states that the rules have been implemented in recent times to reduce the potential for serious injury to a boxer. The referees go through more training, and the boxers are highly conditioned athletes. I don't believe boxing should be outlawed. Every measure seems to be taken by the Boxing Association these days, and the referee is there to ensure the safety of the boxers.